European defence sector, which is currently on the rise, is amongst the key topics of discussions at Defence Days 24, currently taking place in Warsaw. Now to discuss those, we are joined by Jan Grabowski, Vice President of Polish Armaments Group. Thank you for being with us and thank you for taking the time. Now I'd like to start off with the latest news, which is the safe loan mechanisms. We know that the European Commission has just approved Poland's application. How much of a significant contribution, if at all, this is expected to bring for the Polish arms sector?
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's always a pleasure to speak to TVP World. Safe is extraordinary thing. That's something that we should underline from the very beginning, because this is the first time that the European Union took the defense matters in its own hands, and the finance are coming, hopefully, very soon from Brussels to the different capitals. And yes, we can proudly say that Poland will sign the safe loan agreement this Friday, somewhere around noon, as far as I remember, and hopefully starting next week, the first phase of the loan will fly to the Polish bank, Polish Development Bank. Mm-hmm. Safe for Poland is gigantic. It's 43.7 billion euros, so it's approximately 190 billion zlotys. And if everything would go well, because we are still in negotiations, we as the PGZ Group, quite big chunk of this whole 190 billion will go to the Polish Armaments Group, PGZ, and to our facilities and our companies, which produce defense for Poland and for our allies.
Mm-hmm. And which sort of capabilities will be the primary beneficiary of safe loan mechanisms, should it actually benefit PGZ?
Well, safe mechanism is a very good loan when it comes to the interest rate, but it's also a very quick loan, because we need to produce everything by the end of 2030. So we have only a few coming years to produce everything that we are asked for. Mm-hmm. That's why we are rebuilding our capabilities, because, an example, the 155 ammunition, quite an interesting topic which has been on everyone's mind and hearts when the Russian aggression against Ukraine started. We have to produce hundreds of thousands of rounds of this ammunition. We've been tasked by the government, and safe loan, of course, helps in this regard. So this is one thing, and this comes with the international cooperation, because we would be doing this in cooperation with the Brits, with the French, and also with the Czechs. Mm-hmm. So building our sovereignty here in Poland, building new factories, so 3 new factories for the 155 ammunition will be built, because they are now under construction, but they will be built very soon to start the mass production of this hundreds of thousands of the 155 rounds. Of course, there are armored vehicles also. I'm thinking about Borsuk, so a famous Polish infantry fighting vehicle, which is produced in Huta Slowa Wola, HSW, in the south of Poland. This is a fully Polish development, which has been financed by the state. We have already signed the contract for 117, if I remember correctly, but we're going to be delivering more hundreds of it in coming years. There is also, coming back to the artillery systems, because artillery, the rounds needs to be fired from a system, and we would be also producing our Krab 155 howitzers, so the tracked howitzers, which are doing tremendously good job in Ukraine. We will be producing them for the Polish armed forces, of course. There are also radars for the anti-aircraft, anti-missile defense, which we need to produce as soon as possible, well, based on the contract that we have signed in previous years, but some part of the anti-aircraft, anti-missile defense might be also financed from the SAFE mechanism. And it is also done in cooperation with the Brits, so with MBDA UK.
Mm-hmm. But you've mentioned the international cooperation which has currently been undertaken when it comes to ammunition, for example. But are there any specific other areas or other specific capabilities which you are focusing on or will be focusing on in the short term, which you will be looking at other European partners to potentially co-produce or co-develop?
Well, of course, when it comes to European cooperation, international cooperation, the biggest product and the biggest system, because the product is a whole system that would be financed from the safe mechanism, is called SAN. This is the counter-UAS system, which would be produced jointly by Poland, by Polish companies, Norwegian companies, Danish companies, because there are going to be some Danish radars. So a very good example of international cooperation, and also a very good example of how agile we can be if we really need to be agile as Poland and the Polish industry. The drone wall has been stated publicly by the chief of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, sometime in the autumn last year. And then 4 months after this announcement, Poland, Polish Deputy Prime Minister, the Minister of Defense, has announced that Poland would be building its own drone wall. So there is a drone wall planned for the European Union and for NATO. But on the eastern flank, Poland came as the first ones with building its own counter-UAS system, and which is called SAN. It's worth around 15 billion zlotys, so quite a big sum, because it's more than 3.5 billion euros. And this is done in cooperation, just as I said, with Norwegians, with the Danes, of course. Polish companies, both state-owned and privately owned, are part of this system.
So are you looking towards cooperating with the Nordics increasingly so?
Well, cooperation with the Nordics also comes in a domain which is quite close to my heart, which is the naval domain, because this is not the safe mechanism, because our submarines would be not financed by the safe mechanism, but there was a strategic decision taken last year by the Ministry of Defense of the Republic of Poland that submarines would be bought from Sweden, and now we are in the negotiations phase, industry to industry and also government to government negotiations when it comes to signing the final contract in the mid this year. So another very good example, cooperation with the Nordics, and also the geostrategical cooperation in the Baltic Sea area with the Swedes.
So I would like to return to the safe loan mechanism for a second, actually, because we know that on and all, European defense is increasingly getting intertwined, it's increasingly getting better. There's a growing emphasis on domestic production. We know that Poland is performing increasingly well. There is a demand for our capabilities, but equally, as you mentioned, the deadlines are relatively short, up to 2030. So have there been any specific sectors of the Polish defense sector which have actually not been able to benefit from SAFE and have been almost left behind due to the demand or conflicts or timings or anything like that?
Well, over the years, I would say the Polish state-owned industry has been left behind because of the decisions taken by generals or by the governments. It's not for me to say who it was, because it was in the past. But the Polish state-owned industry, which is the biggest part of the whole defense industry in Poland, has been left behind because of the decisions about buying the equipment. The equipment has been acquired from different countries, from our different allies, but with almost non-production in Poland, or even not the production, but also the MRO. So the maintenance and overhaul has also been done abroad, not in Poland. So now we have to ramp up the production much more than and rebuild our capabilities much more and much faster than our allies from Western Europe, for example. That's why the example of the 155 is quite good and significant, because in previous years they've been a contract for, watch out, 5,000 rounds per year. Now we need to produce more than 600,000 rounds in only 3 years. So this is the number that I am showing where we have been and where we want to be, and now we are in the process of rebuilding the capabilities when it comes to the production of this. People think that it's quite not significant because it's just a normal ammunition. These are not missiles, but really starting from 5,000-10,000 a year to 150 or even more, that's a significant change. And safe mechanism would be helping us as the Republic of Poland in financing this rebuilding.
And finally, just very briefly, how quickly do you think that Polish industry will be able to move from catching up with Western producers, Western style of production and outputs, and actually start being relatively or more competitive on the European, if not global markets?
Well, we are already competitive. The Crab howitzer, the tracked howitzer, the 155, is a very good example. We are in competition with our partners / competitors all over the world. And in Ukraine example, we have won this competition because we were the first to help, and the howitzers are still there. Mm-hmm. When it comes to Borsung, so the infantry fighting vehicle produced in Poland completely from the beginning to the end, because also the turret is Poland on this vehicle. We are talking with our export customers when it comes to selling this equipment to them. When it comes also to the Polish product, which is called Baobab. This is a mine-laying system produced in Poland and developed in Poland. We have our NATO allies here in Europe who would like to buy Baobab system, which is also great because this is not only selling something to them, but this is also integration with the chassis produced by our foreign partners, because Baobab mine-laying system, which comes with the mines also produced in Poland, would be integrated with the chassis which is produced in France or, in example, in Czech Republic. We have showed in the Gulf countries, we have showed cooperation between the Czechs and the Poles, because we have put the Baobab mine-laying system on the chassis produced by Tatra from the Czech Republic. Also, the missile systems that we are building together based on the transfer of technology from the UK, we would be offering this anti-aircraft, anti-missile defense to the export markets. So we are getting more and more involved in export in the foreign markets, and we are the partner. We are not a younger brother. We are treated as equals, and hopefully we will be growing together with our Western partners.
Well, I'm afraid that's all the time that we have for today, but thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. From Warsaw for TVP World, Zuzanna Jurek.